Ladies and gentlemen, it is another edition of Two Tire Change here on Driving to the Top Productions, and my name is Big Rich. It is a big night here talking about lots of NASCAR. Short weekend, which happens every now and then. You end up with one of those times that you have holidays and things of that nature. But after this weekend, 28 28 uh, consecutive Sunday races. So lots happening, lots going on, and looks like we're going to have some fun this next 28 weeks. But this weekend, there was racing, even though there wasn't a cup race, there was plenty of racing, plenty to talk about. Um, and some crazy stuff on top of that too. It's really there's some weird stuff happening is what's going on in the world of racing. So especially in NASCAR truck race, Tyler Ankrum had a phenomenal finish to his race on Friday night. Ends up winning the race at Rockingham. Uh, First win in a while, and a lot of names in that top 10, excuse me, that you haven't seen up there over the course of the last season or so. And, that's a good thing. It's a very good thing, that you see guys up there that you don't normally see. But Tyler Ankrum ends up first, Jake Garcia second, Daniel Hemrick, the former Cup driver, third, Raja Caruth fourth, Grant Danvinger fifth, Caden Honeycutt sixth, Jack Wood in seventh, Corey Heim eighth, Connor Mossick ninth, and Gio Ruggiero 10th. So, really good night for all those guys. Not such a good night for folks like Ben Rhodes, who came in 32nd, Ty Majeski in 31st, Stuart Friesen in 29th, um, Parker Klingerman in 25th, Matt Crafton in 24th. Rockingham's one of those tracks that you can have all sorts of things go cattywampus, and it just ends up being a rough day. It's okay though, these guys have got a lot of time to get into to get themselves straight if they had a rough week this week. The point standings as we were talking about just a minute ago, we do have the win for Ankrum. So we have two wins for Heim, one for Chandler Smith, one for Tyler Ankrum, one for Daniel Hemrick. Excuse me. So those guys are all in the playoffs locked in. The next eight would be Lane Riggs, Ty Majeski, Jake Garcia, Grant Enfinger, Caden Honeycutt, Stuart Friesen, Giovanni Ruggiero, Ben Rhodes. The big jumper this week and was really Jake Garcia. He went up 3 spots to get up into that 7th position. The big droppers this week, Ty Majeski and Ben Rhodes both dropped 3 spots. But again, we got a lot of time until we get to the playoffs, and I'm sure that everything is going to flip flop and fly the entire time. So we will definitely talk about that as time goes on. Hey, now the flip side is the Xfinity Series. The Xfinity Series race was won technically by Jesse Love, but after a post-race inspection, the number 2 car of Jesse Love failed post-race inspection, so he was disqualified. And that ruling gave the win to JR Motorsports driver Sammy Smith, who was second at the time of the checkers. The rule, which I'm not going to get into the exact number on, it's like getting into the penal code in your local area. But what it basically says is the truck trailing arm spacers, the pinion angle shims, the matting surfaces between the truck trailing arm, and the U-bolt saddle must be in complete contact with each other, and they weren't. Simple as that. For all you gearheads out there, you're going to understand what I'm saying. But what ended up happening with Love getting the DQ, of course, Richard Childress Racing is appealing this, and that decision will come down probably in the next couple of days. But as a result, the Xfinity race winner is Sammy Smith. Second place, Parker Retzlaff. Third was Harrison Burton. Fourth, Brennan Poole. Fifth, Taylor Gray. Sixth, Austin Hill. Seventh, Josh Williams. Eighth, Jeb Burton. Ninth, Daniel Dye. And 10th, Jeremy Clements. And you can see all the top 10 for both races there at the bottom of the screen. Not a lot of drivers who ended up in the back of the field that you wouldn't expect to have run up front. Sheldon Creed had a rough day, finished 35th. But outside of that, most of the guys that you would expect to still be running at the end were. Justin Allgaier had a little bit of a tough day. He came in 21st. He kind of fluctuated front and back, front and back. The one that I was really impressed with was Casey Kane. Casey Kane had not run an Xfinity race in about a year of Sundays and got in a wreck early, tore up the front end of that car, and ended up really where he ran well. That was one of the tracks that you could get away with it, of course, a 1 mile, little less than a 1 mile track in Rockingham. Ends up 14th. Not quite sure how in the world he did that, but like I said, it was the first time he had been in an Xfinity car in a number of years. And, it was very cool to see Casey Kane out there. One of the most popular drivers for a very long time. And, it was good to see him out there again and run well. Comes in 14th. So when you look at your Xfinity standings at the moment, not a whole lot. I don't think there was a whole lot of changes. Sammy Smith does get the win, so that does give us Allgaier with 2, Austin Hill with 2, Jesse Love with 1, Brandon Jones 1, Connor Zilic 1, now Sammy Smith 1, and Eric Almirola with 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 racers with a win locked into the playoffs. The next 9 will be Ryan Sieg, Sheldon Creed, Jeb Burton, Harrison Burton, Daniel Dye, Taylor Gray, Dean Thompson, Christian Eckes, and Nick Sanchez. Big gainers and losers for this weekend. Not a whole lot of big moves up and down. Dean Thompson went up from 18th to 15th in the point standings. Anthony Alfredo finally getting some legs under him, moves up from 26th to 23rd, but he still has a lot of work to do to get himself back to where he was last season. There wasn't a real big dropper this week. A lot of people dropped 2 spots, but nobody really had just a anticlimactic drop in the point standings this week. So this coming week, Talladega. The other super speedway, I guess you would call 2.66 miles. The big one. We're going to be looking for the big one. Aerodynamics are going to be huge in this race. You're going to have all 3 series running. Or excuse me, no, you're going to have Xfinity and Cup only. Trucks run next at Texas, my home track, in 2 weeks. Texas will have all 3. But yeah, Texas is my home track. So working on having a very special interview that show and have a chance for y'all to get into some cool things about Texas Motor Speedway. At the same time, we're talking Talladega for this coming week. And, man, I'll tell you, it's going to be a fun race to watch simply because a lot of these guys have gotten really good at running super speedway tracks. You're starting to see, yeah, your Hendrick guys are always up there. Yeah, your Penske guys are there, you know. Now Kyle Larson just does not do well in super speedways for whatever reason. And you keep hoping that he's eventually going to win one. Byron, two-time defending Daytona 500 champion. Chase Elliott, numerous times super speedway champ. Bowman has won on super speedways. That's not an issue. Then you get into guys like Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney. Those guys on the Penske squad, super speedway runner. Hamlin has won 3 Daytona 500s. For Joe Gibbs, you've got a number of guys that have won these long, drafting track races. There's always that wild card of that big one, you know. Ryan Preece has gone head over tea kettle a couple of times here in the last couple of years at super speedways. There's been some really big wrecks involving a lot of cars. There's been races where there's been very few cars that weren't banged up at the end of the race. So when you go back to all that, how do you look at Talladega? Very carefully. It's really going to be a lot of luck as well as a lot of skill. Because if you get a guy running up front is huge. And when you get going with some of these guys, what's going to be my easiest way to say it? Probably my easiest way to say it is you're better to be lucky than good. How's that sound? There's a lot of guys that when you sit there and you look at these, the top favorites for Talladega are almost long shots. Last year, Tyler Reddick won the spring race. Ricky Stenhouse won the fall race. Not necessarily guys you would think of a lot with wins, but it's it's entirely different than what what you're used to seeing. So, it's one of those deals of you sit there and you look at it and you wonder, okay, when I'm looking at betting on this, when I'm looking at my DFS, where am I going? At these kind of races, you're really, really not sure. And I hate to put it that way, but you're really not sure. Now, your favorites are going to be your William Byrons and your Joey Logano's and even your Austin Cindrics, who for whatever reason always is right up in there at these super speedways. And by super speedways, I'm meaning Daytona and Talladega. These guys are always up there. Blaney is always up there. But then you have guys like Larson who just doesn't have his ability to race as well, I guess. He gets caught up in wrecks. Something happens to Kyle Larson, as good as he is, that he just doesn't get to victory lane on these super speedways. So, in saying that, when you're putting your DFS together for this coming Sunday with Talladega, of course, I would have Byron in there. I would have Chase Elliott in there. I would probably have Joey Logano in there. Kyle Busch will probably have his say so in this whole thing. Tyler Reddick, yes. Um, Denny Hamlin, yeah, he's going to be up in there. But all these guys we're talking about, for the most part, with the exception of Cindric, um, is a so when you're looking at some of these guys though that are the cheaper ones, and I'm interested to see if he's going to be running in this one because I haven't seen the full list. Corey LaJoy always runs well at these super speedways, and he's going to be super cheap on these things. John Hunter Nemechek is another one that always runs super well on these tracks, but will be super cheap in your DFS. Then there's guys like this is one to really kind of keep in your back pocket is Ty Dillon. For whatever reason, Ty Dillon and Austin Dillon to a degree, but Ty Dillon always seems to do well at these super speedways. Noah Gragson, and these guys are all under the radar. I mean, when you look at the betting odds right now, Justin Haley, Austin Dillon, and Gragson are all 80 to 1. Ty Dillon's 100 to 1. And any of those guys could win the race. Ryan Preece, we were just talking about, 50 to 1. Carson Hocevar is 50 to 1. Todd Gilliland's 50 to 1. So when you sit there and you're looking at what your DFS and what your odds are going to be for this race, take into consideration, yes, you can have 3, maybe 4 of those big guys up there because you can come in behind with a with a Ty Dillon, with a John Hunter Nemechek, with a Gragson, a Dillon, a Priest, who are going to be cheaper on your salary cap and help make up that difference. So don't get too freaked out. Another name, though, that you're going to be able to get really cheap that does extremely well on these tracks is Michael McDowell. He's a great road course driver, and he's a great super speedway driver. Would not be surprised to see him near or on the pole. Spire Motorsports has done really well this season, especially at the super speedways in qualifying. Carson Hocevar, Justin Haley, Michael McDowell. Those guys did great at Daytona. They're going to do great this weekend coming up at Talladega. And, if they can stay away from the wreck, that stopped Michael McDowell twice in the last couple of years. Twice from winning races that he's gotten caught up in a wreck. One where he was trying to block somebody and the other one where he just caught up. But at the same time, when you sit there and you're looking at, like I say, your DFS, for me, I've definitely got Byron. There's no questions asked about that. I definitely have Byron on my list. I definitely have McDowell. I definitely have Hamlin. And then, as much as I hate to say it, I'll probably put Elliott in there as my 4 bigger ones. And then I'm going to loop around and grab Corey LaJoy and probably Ty Dillon on my main one. Yeah, I may put Gragson in there instead of Dillon, depending how the salary cap fits. But I'm gonna have my share of Ryan Preece. I'm gonna have my share of Justin Haley. I'll have my share of Carson Hocevar. Those guys in the middle, Preece, Hocevar, both Dillons, Haley, Gragson, those guys could be your difference in winning and you're winning big and getting your money back or losing when you're playing your DFS games this week. So keep that in mind when you do that, and make sure to also, when you're looking at the odds, make sure to remember the fact that sometimes, or a lot of times, it's better to be lucky than good when it comes to Talladega. Got this information today and want to share it with you. And I'm very interested in this, and I definitely want everybody's opinion on this because the candidates for the 2026 NASCAR Hall of Fame have been released. There's 15 nominees, two of which have been added for the first time: Kurt Busch and Randy LaJoie. Yes, you've heard that last name before. Randy LaJoie is Corey LaJoie's dad. Kurt Busch is Kyle Busch's brother, a former Cup champion in '04, won 34 races, including the Daytona 500. Randy LaJoie, he was the Xfinity Series champion in '96 and '97. 15 wins in Xfinity. Really good Xfinity driver. Not that great in Cup, but a really good Xfinity driver. Greg Biffle is also on the ballot this year. He won the Truck Series championship in 2000, the Xfinity championship in 2002, won 19 races in Cup. All in all, a solid career. Ran for Jack Roush Racing most of his career. I'm not 100% sold, and I'll get into who I think's going in. Would love your opinions on that. I would love to know what you think and who you think should go in. So please hit me up on that. But Neil Bonnet has been on the ballot for 6 years, one of Dale Earnhardt's best friends. They used to go fishing together. 18 career victories in Cup Series, including 2 Coca-Cola 600s. Really good broadcaster at the end of his racing career. Tim Brewer was a crew chief for over 30 years, 53 wins, including 2 Southern 500s. He led Darrell Waltrip and Cale Yarborough combined to 32 wins in a 4-year stretch, including 2 championships, 1 for each guy. Excuse me, Jeff Burton, good broadcaster. 21 Cup Series wins, 2 Coke 600s, a Southern 500. Never was really close to a championship at any level that he ran at. But a really good, solid driver and broadcaster. Randy Dorton, engine builder across all 3 series. And his engines won 3 Daytona 500s, 6 Coke 600s, 4 Brickyard 400s, 7 Southern 500s, and 5 NASCAR All-Star races. Outside of that, he didn't do much. When you think about engine builders, you think Ernie Elliott, Hendrick, Randy Dorton. I mean, he is one of those guys that you really think of when you think engine builders in NASCAR history. Harry Gant, one of my favorites way back in the day, and one of my dad's favorites too. He won 18 races, including 2 Southern 500s. 51 years old in 1991, and he went on this streak, won 4 races in a row. Don't know what happened there. And he almost won a 5th one in a row, which was really, really just crazy. Not only for a guy his age, but also at that time frame, he wasn't the guy that you would be expecting to win 4 races in a row. You're talking Earnhardt and Wallace and Waltrip and guys like that, and Allison, and you're not expecting that to be Harry Gant. Also on this list is Harry Hyde, who was crew chief in the early 70s. Notched 55 victories in his 26-year career as a crew chief. Jack Sprague, who won 3 Truck Series championships for Hendrick Motorsports, was the first 3-time champ in series history, had 28 wins in the Truck Series. He was one of those pioneers of the Truck Series. No question about that. Ray Hendrick, over 700 victories in modified and late model sportsman series between 1950 and 1988. Never won a modified championship. Um, Finished in the top 10 in the standings, though, 9 times from 1960 to 1969. He was put on the NASCAR 75 greatest drivers list and is also a part of the NASCAR modified all-time top 10 drivers. So the man has his credentials. Banjo Matthews started out as a driver, then became an owner and a crew chief, and then he started building cars, and he built a lot of cars in the 70s and the 80s. Larry Phillips is also on this list, the only 5-time NASCAR Weekly Series national champion. He had hundreds of wins in the Weekly Series and claimed 13 track titles across 3 states. Bob Wellborn was also named to NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers list. He was known as the king of convertibles. He won the NASCAR Convertible Division Championship 3 times and was the winner of the first NASCAR points-paying race at Daytona, held in 1959. So there you go. And H.A. Humpy Wheeler is going to be getting the 2026 Landmark Award. Humpy Wheeler was known as being the general manager at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He was a guy. Baseball fans, if you know the name Bill Veeck, with promotions and marketing and things of that nature, that's what Humpy Wheeler's forte was. And boy, was he good at it. And he's one of the ones that really started a lot of the marketing and promotion things that NASCAR even does today. Excuse me, but he started them back in the 80s and 90s. Alvin Hawkins is also on the ballot. He was the first NASCAR flagman back in 1947. And then also you have Lisa France Kennedy, of course, from the France family, executive vice chair of NASCAR and one of the most influential women in sports. She spearheaded the renovation of Phoenix Raceway and the state-of-the-art Daytona Rising project at Daytona International Speedway. So, a lot of stuff that she has done for the sport. Doc Matoli founded Pocono Raceway in 1968. The Tricky Triangle, as they call it, it's a 2.5-mile triangular track. It only has 3 turns. Promise, only has 3 turns. It's hosted all the series. But yeah, and each turn is completely different. So when they start running at Pocono, yeah, to me it's a little boring at Pocono. But at the same time, you could also lay claim that it's one of the most challenging tracks on the circuit. Now, when we start looking at who should go in, this is where it starts getting tough because the NASCAR Hall of Fame has put so many people in over its history. It's almost becoming the Hall of Very Good, which is kind of a shame. I'm not saying that a lot of these guys don't deserve to be in, but they don't deserve to be in. If it's going to be a true Hall of Fame, you've got to be a dominant driver or a dominant portion of NASCAR in your field, whether it's crew chief, driver, engine builder, whatever, for a sustained period of time. And a lot of the guys that are getting to the point of starting to go in aren't that. They may have been a pioneer, they may have been whatever, but at the same time, you have to be a dominant guy. And these guys aren't. So when I look at this class, does Kurt Busch go in? No. I can't put Kurt Busch in. Can I put Randy LaJoie in? No. Can I put Greg Biffle in? Honestly, no. Neil Bonnet, no. Now, Tim Brewer, I mean, he had a 4-year stretch as a crew chief where he won 32 races and 2 championships. That's a winner. Tim Brewer should go in. Jeff Burton, no. Randy Dorton, absolutely. When you've built engines that won 9 championships across the 3 series, and including winning 3 Daytonas, 6 Coke 600s, 4 Brickyard 400s, 7 Southern 5, yeah, you're in. So as it sits right now, I would have Dorton and Tim Brewer in. Do I put Harry Gant in? As much as I like Harry Gant and as much as I really enjoyed pulling for him, I can't do it. And I'm sure he's going to get in, but I can't put him in. Harry Hyde, no. Jack Sprague, yeah. I mean, for a stretch of time, he was the driver in the Craftsman Truck Series. It was him and Mike Skinner and 1 or 2 other guys, and that was it as far as the dominant guys. So would I put Jack Sprague in? Yes, I would. I would put Jack Sprague in. So we got 3. Jake Elder, no. Ray Hendrick, yeah. I mean, I realize that it's not Cup, it's not Xfinity, it's not trucks, but 700 victories in modified and late model sportsman series in 38 years. That's 20 wins a year. And he never won a title. Finished in the top 10 in the standings 9 times in a 10-year period. There you go. Dominance over a sustained period of time. There you go. So when you look at Ray Hendrick, that's another one. So we got 4. We've got Ray Hendrick, we've got Jack Sprague, we've got Randy Norton, and we've got Tim Brewer. And that's it, boys and girls. That's the only. Well, no. Well, Humpy Wheeler's already going in under the landmark award. But those are the only 4 guys that I can see qualifying to go in this year. And I know, before any of the old school guys or anybody else starts giving me all kinds of grief about this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't see putting those other guys in. I was never a Kurt Busch fan, but that doesn't matter. I was a Neil Bonnet fan, and that doesn't matter. You have to look at, were they a dominant part of NASCAR for a sustained period of time? And those 4 guys were. Period. End of discussion. Those 4 guys were. I'm sure there's going to be somebody get in, maybe a Kurt Busch or whoever, that will classify as Hall of Very Good. I can't see putting them in. That's just me, and I apologize if that gets anybody upset. But at the same time, it is one of those deals. It is what it is. When we look at our current quarter pole of NASCAR right now, got to get into, who is our hero and who is our zero right now in the Craftsman Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series. Right now in the Craftsman Truck Series, and this is not just the guy with the most wins and most points. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. Our big hero is a guy that maybe you didn't expect to do what he's doing and is doing really well. And for me, Truck Series right now is Lane Riggs. Lane Riggs is 5th in points, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. He has 2 stage wins, and he has really been right there in a lot of races this season, and very possibly could have won a couple of them if he didn't have a wreck or gas issues or whatever. He will win a race before this season's over. Write that one down. But Lane Riggs is my hero. And as we sit right this second, and I'm not quite sure what is going on this season for him, but Matt Crafton is just not, he's sitting 17th in points right now. And he just is not getting anywhere. He has one top 10. He has, he hasn't had a DNF. He's only won one stage. I don't know what's going on with Matt Crafton as we get to the quarter point of the season. It was going to be Raja Carruth if he didn't do what he's done the last 2 weeks. But as we sit right this second, I'm just scratching my head trying to figure out what in the heck is going on with our guy, Matt Crafton. Excuse me. In the Xfinity Series, I got to give the kudos to two guys, actually, Carson Kvapil and Brandon Jones, who are currently 5th and 6th in the point standings. Jones does have a win. Both guys have 3 top 5s. Kvapil has 4 top 10s. Jones has 5. Both guys have really, I think, exceeded expectations coming into this season. And it's been fun to watch those guys do what they're doing. On the flip side, the one that I can't really wrap my head around, and it was going to be Anthony Alfredo. But William Sawalich, I really expected him to come in and blow doors off. I really did. I expected him to come in and just be tearing everything up, beating, winning races, having top 5s, top 10s. Not the case. 2 top 10s. That's it. In fact, he has more DNFs than he has top 10s. 3 DNFs, 2 top 10s. Hopefully he can get it together. The kid has talent. Don't let anybody try to tell you anything different. The kid has a ton of talent. Not sure what's going on this season. He's just had a super, super, super slow start. And in the Cup Series, as much as I really, honest to goodness, hate to say this, my hero for the first quarter of the season has got to be Christopher Bell. 3 wins, 5 top 5s, 6 top 10s. And that is mirror. The top 5s and top 10s are only mirrored by Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, who both have the same numbers of both of those. But he does have that 3rd win. He did win 3 in a row. And he sits 3rd currently in points. So, as it sits right this second, okay, I got you. He's having a great season. We'll see if he can sustain it. Obviously, he's locked into the playoffs. But I want to see what he does for the rest of the year. On the flip side, and there's a couple of guys that I can just sit here and go, what are you doing? But Noah Gragson, 32nd currently in points. What are you doing? It seems like every week he's getting involved in something. He's either getting involved in a wreck, he's having mechanical issues. He got into Kevin Harvick's car, which was driven by Josh Berry last year. And now he's taken it over. Josh Berry, of course, has moved on to the 21, where he's already won a race this season. And I don't know how much of that is. I don't know how much of the Josh Berry thing is him or the car or both. I think it's both. But Noah Gragson in F4 is just having all sorts of problems, and I don't quite understand where the issues are. But he just cannot get out of his own way right now. So, excuse me, as they sit, I mean, he's 32nd in points. He is almost 100 points out of a playoff spot right now. That's a lot of points to make up. Does he have the talent to win? Absolutely, he's got the talent to win. Is he going to win? I picked him to win a race this season. He was one of those young guys that I said would win a race this year. Making a liar out of me right now. But let's see. Anyway, we've got a little bit of a shortened edition this week, obviously, because we don't have a cup race to talk about. But I want to thank everybody that's been a part of this thing. I want to thank everybody that's contributed to the broadcast with their questions and their comments. I definitely appreciate all that. And look forward to getting a chance to talk to y'all again next week, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, right here on Driving to the Top Productions for another edition of Two Tire Change with your guy, Big Rich. So until next Monday night, right here on Driving to the Top Productions, my name is Big Rich. So long, everybody.